When you have this, a man will want to give you everything. Let's dive into this. What does it mean for a man to want to give you everything? I think what that means to me is going all in a relationship, going all in. What does all in mean? Well, when I think of commitment, I think of three levels. And the first level of commitment in romantic relationships, obviously, we're speaking of, is that space of monogamy and exclusivity. That's really the first level of commitment because what sets apart romantic relationships from every other type of relationship is physical intimacy. For the most part, that's not an absolute, but in most cases, it's physical intimacy. So when there's an agreement to monogamy and exclusivity, it's really the first level of commitment. I think the second level of commitment is teamwork, being teammates with one another, operating, integrating into each other's lives, helping each other in your lives together, being teammates, not partners yet, but teammates. That to me is the second level. Now, sadly, very few couples reach this because most people find themselves in friends with benefits circumstances, in situationships, and in most of the time, it's casual relationships that might have some level of teamwork in that. And yet there's really no direction, no real conversation about something more significant. And what to me, something more significant or serious is that space of being able to go all in. So what's it going to take for a man and or woman to go all in? Well, I think we have to recognize that to some degree, love is a choice. It's not necessary. I mean, let's differentiate versus an unhealthy or insecure attachment to another person. Many of you know I've talked about this frequently on video, something known as love attachment style. And if you haven't read the book, Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller, this will give you some insight into attachment because oftentimes what we experience is something known as an insecure attachment with another person, believing it's love. But I think when we reach that place of, especially if we can operate from more of a secure, healthy place, and again, read the book, all the books I list or recommend are listed below. I think when we can come from a more secure place, that love is actually a choice because we have to overcome our differences. That's right, we have to overcome our differences. We're going to lean into this, and I will tell you what you need to have in a moment. What I think is the piece de la resist, the piece de, well, you know, I was going to say resistance, piece de, some French term, and I just completely went blank on it. But overcoming differences. Now, you have to recognize in the early stages of dating, we might experience some red flags or deal breakers within another person. Now, something that's a deal breaker, that means don't move forward. That means stop, don't go any further. Okay. A red flag in my mind means ask deeper questions, ask more to learn about this difference that you might have. And I'll give an example in a moment, but deal breakers might be for some people might be smoking might be a deal breaker. Well, that's kind of obvious. That's something you can ascertain very quickly. Maybe heavy drinking might be a deal breaker. Now, that's not something you always recognize on a first or second date. You might have radical political differences. You might have radical religious differences. Those are things you can ferret out early on. But it's those little subtle red flags. Maybe somebody was rude to a waiter or waitress. Maybe somebody was, you know, as driving you home was acting very erratic. That might be a red flag. That might not necessarily be red flag, just simply means ask more questions. But something's going to, every relationship, you're going to have two people that have differences. In fact, I'm going to give an example in a moment. So I'm going to use the example from When Harry Met Sally. When Harry Met Sally. If some of you remember this movie, it's now 40, I think it's 40 years old now. Sally had a very unusual way of ordering food. In fact, Harry would say she always put everything on the side. I'd like to have the meatloaf, but I'd like to have gravy on the side. I'd like to have the Caesar salad, but if it has croutons, I'd like to have it on the side. I'd like to have apple pie a la mode, but I'd like to have the ice cream on the side. Everything was on the side. And it actually, at first, Harry thought she was rather high maintenance. It was a difference between the two of them because he's like ham and cheese sandwich, boom, very simple. Now, at first, he kind of had to tolerate the difference. When we have a difference with another person, at first we have to reach a level of at least tolerating it. Otherwise, we're going to have resentment and it's going to turn into a deal breaker at some point. And every relationship goes through this period of adjustment through our differences. But first level is tolerating the difference. Now, I think Harry in the movie reached a level of understanding why this was important to her. Now, it doesn't get that granular in the movie, but he reached a point of understanding. Now, where love begins to happen, where someone wants to give you everything, is when they can accept this difference, when they can accept this difference. And certainly towards the end of the movie, he was able to appreciate and adore the differences. Every one of us, before we dive into that all-in experience with another person, and when we think of all-in, I think when we have to, for those of us in midlife in particular, we have to recognize that this is a space where we go, I want to take care of this person. I want to take care of this person. But it's going to require overcoming our differences. Now, what will set you apart from other people is what I'm about to share here today, because when a man wants to reach that place of taking care of someone, wanting to go all in, I believe this must happen because every man I've spoken to who's in a happy relationship, who's either married or has claimed that they are in love, there seems to be a common theme in every experience. Men say the following: she feels like home. She feels calm. I can be myself with this person. I'm at peace. She feels like home. I can be myself. This feels calm. I'm at peace. Ladies, I know you've experienced this, and certainly this is what men who are happily in relationship, those men who want to give you everything, those men that want to go all in, they experience this level of peace. Now, I'm going to share with you an acronym right now with the word peace, P-E-A-C-E, not P-E-I, wait, P-I-E-C-E, P-E-A-C-E, being at peace, to help you really prepare yourself to be able, because when you have this, and by the way, when a man has this as well, let me just be clear, whether you're a man or woman, we need, I really encourage everyone to be in this space that I'm about to share, because it actually sets you apart from everyone else. So the P in peace stands for positive possibilities, positive possibilities. This is really referencing something known as beginner's mind. Now, one of the challenges we have at midlife is we come to the table with a lot of luggage, a lot of baggage, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, and it's very difficult to show up in beginner's mind. Some of you have had a contentious marriage where you went through a contentious divorce. Maybe you have a toxic relationship with someone in your life. Maybe you went through a breakup of a treasured relationship and you still have some residue, you have some scars from this past relationships. It's certainly hard to show up in this positive possibility with this beginner's mind if we're operating from programming or experiences that are rather hurtful in our past. And yet without this positive possibility, without this, looking at it from a beginner's mind, it's going to be radically difficult because that residue will bleed into every experience you have. And while I'm not to suggest that this is an absolute, but when you meet someone new, you have to take them for who they are and not your past relationships. That's not to suggest your past relationships might influence how you operate, but this brand new person, you must look at them, or at least my invitation for you to look at them is with positive possibilities. And I like that. I mean, don't you want that as well? I will tell you, I've gone out on dates with women who literally had resting bitch face. They came in with an attitude, and you can tell. You could literally be sitting across from them and see every person that ever hurt them standing right behind them. There was no positive possibilities because every person that ever hurt them is staring at me. And I'm sure you've had the same thing happen with men who are sitting down, and every woman that might have affected his life is sitting right behind him. This positive possibility showing up with beginner's mind. Okay. The E stands for embrace the present moment. Embrace the present moment. This is hard to do because we have this narrative that we want to sometimes get ahead of ourselves, or as I said earlier in the positive possibilities, our past is directly affecting how we're operating. But embracing the present moment, not getting ahead of ourselves. I had a dear friend who met a man online. And they spent hours upon, I believe they spent over 40 or 50 hours talking and having Zoom conversations before he was able to fly out to meet her. This is a long distance dynamic, and this seems to happen significantly in long distance dynamics. They literally profess their love for one another before he showed, hey, it's 11:11. Literally, they profess love for one another. They got way ahead of themselves before they ever physically met. And guess what happened when they met? It was a disaster. I'm sorry. And by the way, he bought a 2-week ticket and he was on a plane home within 3 or 4 days, I believe. See, and it's hard to embrace the present moment because when we get excited about someone, we kind of have a natural inclination to want to cut and paste them into our lives. Is it or no, I'm sorry. I think that's from Alison Armstrong. She calls it cut and paste another person into your life. It's kind of a natural inclination to go, oh my God, you're so amazing. I could see us traveling together. I can't wait till you meet my friends, and all these sort of things. Certainly, enthusiasm is part of the experience. I mean, I think to be enthusiastic, to kind of envision someone in your life is great, but at the same time, be radically embrace the present moment. Just remember, each day builds upon itself. And certainly as two people begin to shift from this narrative of, they're just navigating their differences and getting to know one another, as you build more rapport, as you build more trust together through these experiences, that man will find himself, especially when you can build teammate experiences one another, who want to go all in and give you everything. The A stands for accept yourself. This is all related to self-love. By the way, this is my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work. There's a link below to get a copy of my book. Why I'm suggesting this is self-love isn't something that we just arrive at. It's something we work on. It's working on our self-worth, our self-esteem, our self-confidence, our self-reliance, our self-discipline, if I didn't say that already. It's working on healing oneself from those wounds we talked about earlier. And those wounds could be a past relationship, or it could be a childhood wound. When we actually accept ourselves, and believe me, this isn't, like I said, a destination. It's a work in progress. But when we operate from a place of our own sovereignty, and sadly, many women have a propensity to give their power away to men, which is highly unattractive, except for those controlling men or insecure men. Let me repeat that. Controlling or insecure men love women who give their power away because they can take advantage of them. But those aren't the men you want, I suspect. But when you can accept yourself, that's the A in the piece, you're going to become highly attractive, and a man will want to give you everything. The C stands for certainty. Create certainty. How do you create certainty? By your actions matching your words. So if you say you want a relationship, don't be so busy that you can't even be available for a relationship. When you say you are going to do something, then actually do it. I know, ladies, your biggest frustration with men is their actions don't match their words. And yet I've seen a significant percentage of women who continually say, I want a relationship, but their actions say otherwise. They don't make room for an actual relationship in their life. And if you want to shift this narrative, you want to create a relationship where a man will want to give you everything, then create certainty, particularly with your actions matching your words. And finally, the E with peace. Engage the fun. Let's face it, what's the point of being in a romantic relationship if you can't be flirty, you can't be playful, you can't be sexy, you can't have physical intimacy with one another? That's the pleasure, fun, play is kind of what the benefit of having a romantic relationship in our life. And when we actually have fun, play, sex, all of that engagement in fun and passion, when we engage the fun, when we engage the passion, when we engage in playfulness, that's the person who wants to give you everything. That's the person, when we're feeling this way, we'll want to give you everything when we're experiencing this level of connection with another human being. To be at peace. The P, positive possibilities. The E, embracing the present moment. The A, accepting yourself, that self-love piece. Certainty, creating certainty by actions matching words. And lastly, engage the fun, engage the passion, engage the play. The E is for engage. And I think if you follow this simple little acronym, you might find that a man that you're beginning to get to know will genuinely want to give you everything, because he's embracing not just an attachment, but a choice to be with you because you feel like home. You feel calm. He can be himself. And I know, ladies, men need to be doing exactly the same thing for you, because when two people show up this way, those are the relationships that oftentimes go the distance. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Post a comment below. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos as well. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below to schedule a discovery call. There's a link right here to schedule a discovery call to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's a link to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. There's a link to follow my group. I said Midlife Love Mastery, to get all the books I recommend, my dating vows, all listed below. All right, I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, give myself a big, gigantic Jonathon bear hug of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love, if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow. Give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye.